Packing a lot in tonight. We're going to take a look at diversity in law enforcement, but first checking on Orlando.
The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
Always an honor to have you on board. Thank you very much for tuning into my State of Mind. Let's go to the rundown real quick and get to the issues of the day. This is a local conversation. Tim White brought you this story, and he is insistent. The headline reads, the legislator says he lives where he says he lives, but he doesn't appear to live there. Here's Tim's story. It kind of tells the whole thing.
House Speaker Nicholas Mattiello says after seeing our report, he plans to question State Representative John Carnevale, and he has a simple question for the Providence lawmaker.
I'm going to ask him where he lives and expect that he lives in the district that he serves, or if he does not, clearly the rules would suggest that he should not run for re-election.
Our investigation found Carnevale is either living outside the district he represents, or he had repeatedly failed to disclose a property he owns in Johnston outside his district to the State Ethics Commission. He also signed a mortgage document pledging to live in the Johnston house with his bank. Our undercover cameras routinely spotted Carnevale at the Johnston home, including this bizarre moment when, after apparently spotting our vehicle, he wraps a T-shirt around his face and drives away. We asked Mattiello about the strange behavior.
I don't know. It looked from what I saw on TV looked odd. I have no other comment beyond that.
You have no story here.
On Monday, Carnevale went back and changed 9 years of ethics filings to disclose the Johnston property and 2 others, which means he still claims to live in his Providence district. Mattiello says he plans to keep Carnevale as vice chairman of the House Finance Committee for now.
Well, as I said, I'm going to have a conversation with them as to where he lives and whether he plans on running for re-election.
On Tuesday, Carnevale continued to decline to speak with us as he left the State House. Do you have time for us, Rep? Can you answer our questions? Rep, why don't you stop and answer the questions?
I'm going to ask him where he lives. Look, just the move to put the T-shirt over your head is enough for the Speaker to say, you're embarrassing. You can no longer be the Vice Chairman of the House Finance. I don't care if we have 3 days, 2 days, 1 day, 5 minutes, 2 seconds left in the session. You're embarrassing. So clearly there's something to hide or a weirdness going on that tells me he shouldn't be Vice Chair of a committee that, comports itself in a way to be responsible for $9 billion worth of our spending every year. A couple of notes. By the way, if you vote in a place that you don't live, it's a felony. If you run in a place that you don't live based on where you've registered to vote, that's a problem too, legal problem. So there ought to be an investigation of some kind on this. We have a Board of Elections in addition to an Ethics Commission and blah, 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 blah. But the Speaker of the House, it's not his fault, and he's not the keeper of these guys, but you'd want a response that kind of showcases that you get there's a problem. Here's the problem. Carnevale is part of a subgroup that's not very happy with the Speaker anyway. If the Speaker should fall in the election, I'm not sure he would, but if he should, Carnevale would be there eating Mattiello's lunch, along with Mr. DeSimone, Carnevale's ally, who's the lieutenant in the House to Mr. Mattiello. In other words, they're looking over their shoulders all the time. Nick Mattiello doesn't want to pick a fight where he thinks it would be a problem for him. The people's business is something he may want to consider too. Let's move on to, what do you call him? The Donald. Now he's getting hit in the New Yorker this way with headlines that suggest he's anti-American. The polls, not good. Bloomberg poll, and this is pre the Orlando tragedy, 12-point edge for Clinton. That's all because of the Indiana federal judge who's of Mexican ethnicity. However, Reuters tried to even it off today a little bit. The Donald grabbed a half a point and a half back in what was a 13-point disadvantage for Donald Trump that they had last week. Here's the latest in that tiff.
Where does this stop?
President Obama held nothing back in a piece-by-piece takedown of Donald Trump's criticism about his handling the war on terror. Trump suggests the president has ulterior motives for not using the term radical Islam.
So there's no magic to the phrase radical Islam. It's a political talking point. It's not a strategy.
Trump fired back at a campaign event.
He was more angry at me than he was at the shooter.
At a campaign event in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Hillary Clinton called out Trump's views on gun control.
He won't stand up to the gun lobby.
But Republicans say that puts the focus in the wrong place.
We need a strategy to defeat ISIS, which is the inspiration for these homegrown attacks here at home.
Listen, radical Islam is an important term. So the president is trying to get off in a place that would suit his, I think, passive-aggressive Middle East plan anyway. Unfortunately, the messenger is Donald Trump, who's on steroids on this particular matter, and so it leaves us wanting in terms of a real grip on reality. Mitch McConnell, though, is facing a political reality here. He's open now to some post-Orlando gun control conversation. What we do with assault rifles, semi-automatics, is a real question. I know the Colonel of the State Police has some things to say about that because I saw it in the news, and he's here, and I'll ask him about it coming up momentarily. In the meantime, in Orlando, here are the latest developments. By the way, I mean, the family is the most important concern, but you want to talk about a town that's having a tough time right now. 45 years, Disney's never had a problem like that, and this little one is, proximate to the water, and the alligator comes out. And just pray for that family. In the meantime, headlines are that the wife was aware. Another headline indicates she could be charged, and here's the latest on this.
Sunday's shooting rampage wasn't Omar Mateen's only objective during the 3-hour attack. He was also on Facebook, declaring his allegiance to ISIS. He repeated his pledge in a phone call to 911 and to a television producer, according to a local cable news station.
Then he started saying he did it for the Islamic State, he did it for ISIS, and he started speaking in Arabic.
A law enforcement source says Mateen's wife, Noor, videotaped here with her head covered, is telling investigators she tried to stop her husband from committing the attack. Investigators have interviewed her twice and given her a polygraph test. She told them the couple had been to the club at least once before.
Everybody knew his name, Omar.
Club patron Jim Van Horn says Mateen was a regular.
He used to come in the bar on the weekends. Sometimes he would be there. Sometimes he would miss a couple weeks and then be in again.
The FBI has been speaking with the owners of other clubs in the area, including Michael Bass, who operates the gay club Revere. He says he received a Facebook friend request from Mateen 3 days before the shooting.
I saw that picture that morning of the incident. I swallowed my tongue. It was Omar Mateen.
Morning. Good morning. Do you have a badge?
A 2012 documentary appears to show Mateen working as a security guard following the BP oil spill, where he seems skeptical of the cleanup efforts.
No one gets here. Like, everybody just gets out to get paid. They're like hoping for more oil to come out and more people to complain so they'll have the jobs. They want more disaster to happen.
Colonel of the State Police has been kind enough to join us today. Welcome. Nice to see you.
You too.
Your reaction to this on a personal and professional level is what?
It's awful. There's really no words they've made in the English language to describe what happened in Orlando. What that means is to Rhode Island, which I hear a lot, is that could happen here. You hope it never happens. I think Orlando probably hope it didn't happen there. San Bernardino hoping it doesn't happen there. So here, what's the next step in Rhode Island? How do we protect everybody? It's impossible, I think everybody knows, to protect everybody from someone that has, I look at it 3 prongs. They have a mental health issue, radicalization, and access to the weapons of some type of mass destruction.
Well, let's take it one at a real quick, because we've got a lot to do today. Talk about diversity in law enforcement, which was the original invitation on the schedule way back. I think we've got to get a little bit more in tune with what people say. We tend not to want to bug into people's business when they say crazy things. And clearly this kid's wife was in a subordinate position in that relationship, but she heard enough to do what she needs to do. But even in the workplace, if somebody is mouthing off the likes of which he reportedly did, someone's got to know about it, right?
Yeah, what we say is see something, say something. And you should know that after this happened, there are complaints that come in. People will complain to us, which is a good thing. So-and-so is being disrespectful on Facebook or some social media or talking But then we go out and investigate it, and the end result is, unless they've committed a crime, you can't go any further. You can talk to them and you can find out if they have weapons, but there's rules and regulations and policy and procedures that really block law enforcement from doing certain things.
So let's go to the gun, the AR-15, and the watch list, and whether he ought to be able to lawfully acquire the weapon. What's your thought on that?
Oh, absolutely. It makes no sense to me that you're on a watch list, even if you don't have a record. If you're on a watch list, you're on a watch list for a reason, and it has to be a pretty good reason to fit that criteria. My philosophy, since I can remember, when high-capacity weaponry has been coming up, magazine capacity. There's a big difference between the Second Amendment. I believe in the Second Amendment that people have the right to bear arms. I want to make sure that's crystal clear. But the magazine capacity is a problem. You don't need a capacity of 15, 20, 30, 40 rounds to hunt. I'm friends with a lot of hunters that talk to me all the time. When they hunt, they don't need, if after 1 or 2 shots,
Target shooters say it's fun for them.
So it might take them 3 or 4 seconds to reload with a smaller weapon capacity.
So you're saying the manufacturer of that weapon ought to cease?
I'm saying if they don't, which they won't, you should legislate it. And I think it is done in Massachusetts, done in Rhode Island. Because this happens frequently, the lobby it's a mixed message. The NRA comes out and says they're at one extreme, and then sometimes the political dialogue is at the other extreme. Somewhere in the middle about legislating magazine capacity. What does that mean? You won't stop every terrorist from killing someone. You're not going to stop somebody with mental health issues from killing somebody, but you certainly, the body count goes down and there's a chance for intervention.
That you even have to talk about the body count, that we have to talk about the body count, is motive for actually having some middle ground conversation. I think most citizens are ready for a middle ground conversation. I think that's why Mitchell O'Connell is saying, you know what, he's got to focus. All right, when we come back, we will talk about diversity in law enforcement here, our intended subject matter, bring on another special guest. In the meantime, I just want to remind you that if you're thinking about a new kitchen or bath, Cumberland Kitchen and Bath Design Center is your place. You know, I have some notes here about your bathroom. There's a purposefulness about your bathroom choices, Who's going to use it? Master bathroom, the kids, powder, recreation, whatever you decide in your bathroom. So know what you want and let Cumberland Kitchen and Bath Design Center put a plan out there for you. Whether it's your kitchen or your bath, I know this, it'll be on time and on budget. Right back, stay with us. So you may have seen a recent headline that looks like this. It's the subject for our conversation. Please get help reaching out to minorities. The Colonel has remained, and we appreciate that. And Kobi Dennis joins us. He's not new to the show, founder, Project Night Vision. Kobi, welcome. Nice to have you.
Happy to be here.
We are making strides in doing what?
Diversifying law enforcement. So we're getting there.
You want to fill out the ranks with more diversity, African Americans, Latinos, et al. Correct?
Absolutely.
This comes from, in part, a conversation in Providence where you didn't think you were getting the right representation. Obviously, the Colonel can't respond to what the police management issues are in Providence. But this is where it got a lot of attention, correct?
Well, kind of, sort of. It's been an ongoing thing that myself and the Colonel, at the same time, we're doing with the state police. So it's not in reaction to the Black Major Movement at all.
Well, okay. Well, the Black Major Movement is a related conversation.
Absolutely.
No doubt about
Absolutely.
that. Do you have a thought on the Black Major Movement conversation in Providence, or would you rather bypass that and talk about what the state police are doing?
Yeah, that's not our issue.
That's not your issue. But law enforcement in general, in Rhode Island, is on a scale of 0 to 10 doing how well when it comes to diversity on the ranks, in the ranks?
It depends how you look at it. We believe we failed. The reason for this Diversity Academy was stemming from Kobi and I have been talking for years about how to do it. We have process. We recruit. We use people like Kobi and others to find people in the community to come into law enforcement. This last particular class is what spurred the Diversity Academy. We had 30% in our academy minorities. So we were pretty pleased. That was a big number for us. And then of the 8 candidates, 7 quit. So we were left with 1. They quit because they couldn't do the physical part of our academy. Not just them, the majority candidates did too. We lost a lot from that. So
do the candidates in general quit at the same ratio?
This time around, probably not. Greater, because there are 7, we probably lost 35 people from physical. What we're finding out, besides the diversity issue, is that they're not trained properly. What I mean by that is physically. Believe it or not, this new generation doesn't physically understand the rigors it's going to take. We tell them about it, we tell them
Whether
about
they're
it.
white, black, purple, or orange.
Yes, but at a greater rate, because we lost 7. And regardless of what we
lost. Well, that's
lost,
an honest conversation that you have to have. React to that.
So from the minority standpoint, what the Colonel is alluding to is that the minorities, because they have no connection, no relation to law enforcement at all, they are less likely to be prepared because they don't have the conversations at the kitchen table about what you need to do to get prepared for the police with their uncle that's on the force or their cousin or their coach or what have you. These kids are coming right out, they're reading it in the paper. Oh, I'm ready, I lift weights, I run track. And these guys are getting top-notch athletes. They're still coming unprepared. So the Diversity Academy, that's what this is about.
Is that how you see it?
Absolutely. This group of young men and women just don't get the physical piece. We tell them, you're going to come in and this is what you're going to have to do, but it doesn't matter. They're a whole group of people. You have to show them. We could tell you what to do, you do it. You came from a different generation. So we're recognized as senior law enforcement, junior law enforcement coming in across the board, nationally, not just statewide, but we represent the state police. They're not prepared because we haven't shown them. We haven't touched it. So this Diversity Academy not only is going to bring them from diversified ranks into this academy, so we're going to make them run and work out. So for the first hour is physical training. We're not going to exploit it, but if Kobi Dennis comes in, he's going to have to run a mile or 2, do push-ups, pull-ups, things that you have to do in order to be a policeman so they can physically touch it and know this is what you have to do at the minimum, and then they at least understand it better. It's learning the age group that we're dealing with. They're much different from you, myself, and Kobi. They don't do physical training in high school anymore. I coach high school kids. Right. Most of them don't have, they were great athletes because we're training them in that sport, but they don't come in with the gym classes that you went through. The common sense, strength, conditioning, pull-ups, things that you need to do if you're in law enforcement. You need strength and you need to be able to have some type of cardiovascular. So we're going to show them how to do it.
And that connects to the mentor
It's just connecting.
Problem?
I know, Dan, it seems a little crazy, but it's actually connecting to the fact that, this generation, and I'll speak about the minority community, the minority community doesn't have that direct connection to law enforcement, so they don't understand the daily, the ins and outs, especially with the physical. That it just so happens that they didn't get to the next stage. I don't know what else would have happened, but I know right now that if they can't get past the physical, they can't get past the written or anything else.
All right, when we come back, we'll talk about the difference between the state police and local law enforcement. There might be a difference. Stay with us. It is. We're talking about millennials here. And I got to tell you, I don't care if they're white, African American, Latino. It's millennials, man. We got a millennial problem. Doing what you're supposed to be doing when you're supposed to do it. Preparing, it seems to me. Local law enforcement versus state police. Now, most of the municipal police departments are training in the same arena, correct?
The training's the same for state police, local police, and Providence. The state police oversees training for all police departments in the state except for Providence.
When you talk, though, about what kids see, what African American kids see, what Latino kids see, many of them are urban dwellers, and they see urban police officers, not all of whom are in as good a shape, by the way, as state troopers. I have never seen a state trooper who appears to me like me. A little bit, like my day. I had my day. There's a lot of local police officers that look like me. Right. Is that an issue?
For us?
Not for you, but I throw it out there as maybe when you're talking about not recognizing, not having the visual, not having the mentor, not having the picture of what a police officer is supposed to be, they may see a lot of local police officers who are not necessarily ready to win the Olympic medal, right?
Well, I think that's what this Diversity Academy is about. The unknown. They don't know if they could go in like that. Some of them actually are trying to get into this academy right now that are, I would say, not so physically fit.
Talk to me about the original premise and what you're trying to get law enforcement to do. The Colonel has, I think, been, to his credit, constantly open to this conversation. Less in the headlines before not only the Black Major movement, but the Black Lives Matter movement. Are you happy? Be honest with us here. Are you happy with his response and police management response in general to your request to create an atmosphere for diversity?
Yeah, I'm absolutely happy. I'm even pleased with even Providence has come along and did much better in this. It just has to trickle down to a lot of the old timers that are just not ready for change.
The benefits seem self-explanatory,
right,
but repeat them.
It's like diversity wins. I'll start off with that. just a reflection of your community. You're more likely to understand what they're going through. Better policing, easier policing. You know, a lot of law enforcement always talk about, the first thing they say is, you know, I go into the community, it just happened. It was a shooting on my side of town 2 days ago. They went in and they said, you know, Kobi, no one's talking. No one would tell us anything. That's because when you rode by an hour ago, you didn't even wave. You didn't even say anything. Somebody just got shot, and now you want to go and say, who was shooting? You're going to get no response. You know, that's the relationship that's happening sometimes in my community. So we need to change that.
No, I think you're spot on. I think a lot of it is perception, and we talk about perception being reality. The people we're trying to bring into our ranks, we want to make sure whatever they look like, they reflect the population they serve. So an example is, I'm white. I came from Providence, and when you were to talk to an inner city kid, they don't think I came from Providence. When they look at your strains, like you're from Health Avenue in Providence, Rhode Island, yes. So getting out there, I was a young trooper. I didn't meet a trooper until I was 16 years old. So we want to be out there. We want them to know what we're about. We do a lot more than the policing piece. We have basketball leagues. We have all sorts of things where troopers are in the community with Providence Police and other local police, East Providence, North Kingstown, West Warwick, you name it, trying to get the message out that we do much more than just policing. We want you to know what we're about. Our Citizens Academy, which is for adults, is what trickled down. This Alan Williams is one of the community leaders, said, why don't you do this with young kids? And that's exactly what we're doing, trying to get them to understand what our culture is. We believe if this is what you want to do for a living and you know our culture, you'll jump right on board. Kobi mentioned culture. We have a culture. When you come in, you can't have facial hair. And he's telling some of these recruits come in, you got to shave your little goatee. I'm not going to do that. Well, then you can't come. And so there has to be that buy-in from the community. We have people that want their kids to come that don't want to be in law enforcement, they just want to get an experience. And we want those 40 people to go out in the community and make it 500 more people to understand what police do in general.
What will be the success story?
Oh boy, just the actual enrollment right now is a success. We got people excited about signing up for a police academy. Young people from 15 to 30 years old. People are calling me, calling the major, calling the colonel daily. So I'm already pleased. But the total success would be graduation day, when some of these recruits actually have a good chance to move on and either go into the military, going to law enforcement, state or local. That would be exciting for me.
And your idea of success?
It's exactly that. We'd love to have graduates from that diverse police academy apply for next school and meet all the criteria.
And when is the next school?
Well, we're finishing in 6 weeks from one academy, so I don't know when the next school will be.
That's all budgetary.
Yes, and the reason we had 15-year-olds coming in, because they may be 18 by the time we have a next school, and then they'll be eligible to apply. And if they can get the bug, then we can teach them about college and education and all the stuff that will help them come into law enforcement. The misnomer, I think, is important. A lot of kids thinking coming to law enforcement, they just have to be cops. There's much more to it with cyber and forensics. The things that we do now are much different.
You're bullish on the project. Feel good about it.
Feeling good.
All right. Hey, that's a good thing. Thanks. We'll be right back. You know, it's good to hear constructive conversation actually resulting in progress. So, you know, there's a lot of complaining that goes on in our community about this and that, but this diversity training is essential. I think it's best for all of us, and it's good to see that more than just progress is being made, the results are being generated. I think the Colonel said some provocative things about the Orlando situation. We'll talk more about that on the radio tomorrow at 3 until 6 on WPRO. We thank you for watching. Have a good night.